Hey Mike, tell us about the awareness class.
Yeah, the awareness class is a hard one to describe. You really have to experience it. So maybe it's best that I share how it's structured. The first part of the awareness class is to open up all of your physical senses. Get your senses out of the hospital bed. We're so bombarded by advertisements and radio and all kinds of people who want our attention that we shut down instinctively to save our sanity. So when you come out into the woods and you start listening, you almost immediately try to search for the loudest noises, and more often than not, they're either human-made or they're crows and jays in the distance or right over your head, telling everyone in the forest that you're there. So we have to slow down, and the first day is designed to slow you down and to open up your senses. So we do things like an awareness circle where you're noticing the dead spaces between the trees and the subtle texture changes in the leaf litter. You're listening for the silences. And then you're moving, not heel to toe with your head thrown forward, eventually damaging your back and knees. That sustained flight or fight response is not going to serve you well in the real and natural landscape. You instead move more like a martial artist or a dancer or a football player from your center. And you're always balanced and you're fluid. You move about 1/3 the pace of that flight or fight melee out there, but then you get to see more because of it and you're noticed less. You can travel greater distances with less damage to your body. Yeah, it might take you a little longer, but you're fresh the next day to start it again. And so once your antenna array is reawakened, we then start to interface with the landscape. It's important to be able to tell the difference in tree species by texture alone. The personality of the snow as it changes through the day. In the morning we can walk across the crust, but by 2, 3 in the afternoon we're punching through. Doesn't seem like much until you're in a situation where you don't have your snowshoes, and that subtle change in temperature means you walk 3 miles out post-holing in snow above your knees. It's exhausting and could even threaten your life. So those sorts of things start to evolve into something that happens faster than thought. We call it intuition, but it's really all of your senses working in conjunction with each other to create a harmonic. Like 5 or 6 people who can sing really well and sing really well together, creating the same harmonic. That intuition or gut feeling or whatever you want to call it, that knowing that most seasoned hunters and veteran cops and people who come back from combat possess, in fact, even mothers have this, it's so commonplace that it permeates all of us. We just can't control it and we weren't trained in it, so forget about it. It's some sort of weird foo-foo, right? No, it's not. But you have to do the groundwork. You have to open up your senses and understand the patterns moving through the systems in nature. There's a tendency or a frequency of 80% of the time or more, you will have certain events unfolding in a sequence that pushes and pulls the other animate beings across the landscape. And when you can get into those rhythms, we call it baseline. When you start to achieve that cyclic baseline throughout the day, the year, your life, you always seem to be in the right spot at the right time for what you need. And that's the whole structure of the awareness class, is reawaken your senses, put you in situations where you have to engage with them fully, find out where your edges are with those senses, and then start working those. And that's when we start accessing those intuitive hits, those gut feelings, those, I knew you were going to say that, and employing them to create consistent, practical results. Yeah, if you're interested in sharpening that part of your being toward increased self-reliance and deeper nature connection, join us around the fire.